The Chicago rat hole is a rat-shaped hole in the Roscoe Village neighborhood of Chicago. After existing for decades, it became a viral phenomenon on social media in January 2024, attracting tourists to the site. The Wisconsin Butter Fire, also known as the Butter Flood, Great Cheese Fire, and Great Butter Fire, was a fire and flood of processed meat and dairy that began on May 3, 1991, at a large storage facility in Madison, Wisconsin. The fire continued for 8 days. There were no fatalities, but it caused millions of dollars in damages. On May 3, 1991, flames broke out in the late afternoon at the Central Storage and Warehouse Company on Cottage Grove Road, a 500,000 square foot complex that stored 10 to 15 million pounds of government surplus. At the time of the fire, the building also stored ocean spray, cranberries, and millions of hot dogs, according to an employee. After about 2.5 hours, the fire spread to a second factory building. 5 hours later, the building collapsed, creating a massive wave of melted butter. Due to the thick, fatty pool of dairy, ladder trucks could not effectively enter and leave the area, nor could fuel trucks enter to refill the ladder trucks' gas tanks. Instead, mechanics traveled through the Butter River on foot, with 5-gallon buckets of diesel fuel. Spraying water at the building caused more gooey melted cheese and butter to flow out. Slippery pools of butter and cheese that were 2 to 3 feet high, with 5-foot deep ponds in some places. The melted dairy made it difficult to use typical equipment, so firefighters remained outside the building, trudging upstream through a hot flow. Firefighter Stephen Davis reported having butter in places a guy shouldn't have butter by the end of that night. Residents were evacuated on Friday night and moved to a high school because firefighters thought the flames might spread. The neighbors reported a horrible stench. Cream Puff was a mixed tabby domestic cat, owned by Jake Perry of Austin, Texas. She was the oldest cat ever recorded, according to the 2010 edition of Guinness World Records, when she died, aged 38 years and 3 days. Cream Puff's owner, Jake Perry, said her diet consisted of dry cat food, supplemented with broccoli, eggs, turkey bacon, coffee with cream, and every 2 days, an eyedropper full of red wine. Perry claimed that this diet was key to her longevity, and that the wine circulated the arteries. Perry had another cat, Grandpa Rex's Allen, who was the 6th oldest cat ever recorded. Acoustic Kitty was a project launched by the Directorate of Science and Technology in the 1960s, which intended to use cats to spy on the Kremlin and Soviet embassies. In an hour-long procedure, a veterinary surgeon implanted a microphone in the cat's ear canal, a small radio transmitter at the base of its skull, and a thin wire into its fur. This would allow the cat to record and transmit sound from its surroundings. Due to problems with distraction, the cat's sense of hunger had to be addressed in another operation. Victor Marchetti, a former CIA officer, said Project Acoustic Kitty cost about $20 million. The first Acoustic Kitty mission was to eavesdrop on 2 men in a park outside the Soviet embassy in Washington. The cat was released nearby, but was hit and allegedly killed by a taxi almost immediately. However, this was disputed in 2013 by Robert Wallace, a former director of the Office of Technical Service, who said that the project was abandoned due to the difficulty of training the cat to behave as required, and the equipment was taken out of the cat. The cat was resown for a second time and lived a long and happy life afterwards. During oral arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court in Roe v. Wade, a major abortion rights case, Texas Assistant Attorney General J. Floyd began his remarks with a reference to his opposing counsel, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey. "Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, it's an old joke, but when a man argues against two beautiful ladies like this, they are going to have the last word." The joke was met with silence in the courtroom and visible resentment from Chief Justice Warren E. Burger, widely viewed as sexist and often considered the worst joke in legal history. Floyd's attempt at humor has been cited by commentators as a cautionary tale about attempting humor in court. Floyd did not recover and struggled in the rest of his remarks, twice being laughed at by the audience. Zizzi Restaurants Limited, trading as Zizzi, is a chain of Italian-inspired restaurants in the United Kingdom and Ireland. On April 22, 2007, a 35-year-old Polish man entered the Zizzi restaurant on the Strand and made his way into the kitchen, where he obtained a knife. He then used it to sever his penis in front of diners. Whilst it was initially believed that attempts to reattach the appendage had been unsuccessful, The Guardian reported later that week that surgeons had in fact been able to do so in the first operation of its kind in the country, a procedure that was carried out at St. Thomas Hospital after police recovered the penis from the restaurant floor. On April 18, 1930, the British Broadcasting Corporation announced that there is no news in their evening report. Wrocław dwarfs are small figurines that have appeared in the streets of Wrocław, Poland, since 2005. The dwarfs' numbers have grown to 600, and they are a major tourist attraction for the city, which is the fourth largest in Poland. Weapon focus is the concentration on a weapon by a witness of a crime, and the subsequent inability to accurately remember other details of the crime. Steak and Blowjob Day, sometimes Steak and BJ Day or Steak and Knobber Day, is a satirical unofficial holiday created in the United States as a male response to Valentine's Day and celebrated a month later, on March 14th. The prophetic perfect tense is a literary technique used in the Bible that describes future events that are so certain to happen that they already referred to in the past tense, as if they had already happened. Blanche Monnier, often known as the confined woman of Poitiers, was a woman from Poitiers, France, who was secretly kept locked in a small room by her aristocratic mother and brother for 25 years. She was eventually found by police, then middle-aged and in emaciated and filthy condition. According to officials, Monnier had not seen any sunlight for her entire captivity.